And good morning. Today, October 30th, 2022, this is recording 435, entitled, Remove the Beam and the Mote. Remove the beam and the mote. Now, the beam, you could kind of equate to like a car that has a low beam and a high beam. And the mote, what most people don't realize, is so tiny that you can almost not see it. So we have been given a directive to remove the beam, low beam, high beam, and the mote. Now, if something is so small that you could hardly even pick it up, why would you be concerned about getting rid of it? Because it is also a part of what our problem is. Even though it's so tiny, it goes when we fulfill the mission or the practical removing of the beam. Now, our message comes from Malachi chapter 3, verse 1, which says, Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom you seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, who you delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. Now, included within all of that scripture are promises great and awesome. They are promises that can be depended upon. But as any of you readers, not readers, but believers, know, you must first believe that something is accomplishable before you can pour your whole attitude into accomplishing. So we must first believe that there is a God. And in believing that there is a God, we must believe that he holds true to his purpose. He holds true to his covenant. He holds true to his promises. So therefore, we have to reckon this statement as a personal directive to all who would delight in life. Everyone wants to delight in life, and everyone deserves, but we must first know what life is. And life is not the accumulation of events that we are able to amass or draw to ourselves: finances, trips, boats, planes, all of these pleasures. Life is actually the understanding that is what you are. And we all deserve to delight in life. Why? Because God is life. And if God is life, that means that whatsoever is born or made of God deserves the full capacity of what life is. So this promise of life is saying, Behold, I will send my messenger. Now, let's not get caught up in the fact that when someone tells us, I'm going to send a messenger, we automatically begin to look for a person. God is saying, I will send my messenger, which is what? A spiritual message. Now, that message is not sent from somewhere, moving through a plane of existence and then ending up somewhere else, because we must understand that God being life, that message and the messenger are both contained within that which we are. So therefore, the message is just coming from a higher plane, saying, God is saying, if you should so desire to live and delight in life, that message will continuously move back and forth through what you call your conscience, but it is letting you know that you are known, And it is letting you know what is necessary for it to provide the greatest portion of life, or the greatest display of life that can be had. It says, I send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. For that messenger to come and prepare the way before us, then that means that we, on our conscious level, we must do what? We accept the message. You know, I am a firm believer now that what Jesus Christ came to offer us is so huge, so over the top, that I can understand why so many people don't get it. I can understand why so many people try to take it and manipulate it to do something that they want done to make their personal lives gratifying. But in actuality, this message is so far over the top that it takes a person that is willing to give up everything that they think is of value to understand this message, to be able to live in this message. It's like I spoke to you last week and said, when we come to realize that we are not trying to learn something so we can get to heaven, but we must understand that we have been heaven sent. We were sent from heaven to reconcile all that is in the earth, to reconcile it unto that which fills all with his spirit. So therefore, that messenger is coming to us because we have looked out here at this life, and we have many questions, and we seek answers. It says, and the Lord whom you seek shall suddenly come to his temple. Well, we know now that the temple of God is the awareness that God is all in all, and there is nothing outside of God that has power. So as the messenger comes to us, he comes in the form of a spiritual message, and it fills the temple. It leads us and guides us, and it comes suddenly. It comes at a time sometimes when we don't even realize that it's there, but yet because we have desired to hear, to feel, to touch, then we understand that, oh, wow, God is keeping his covenant. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here is that the problems that we're having with other people, we keep those problems alive because we pay attention to those problems or issues instead of focusing on the understanding that we have a covenant that is unbreakable. And as we align ourselves with this covenant, it says the messenger comes. And when the messenger comes, he brings with him the delight of life. What is the delight of life? Once again, the delight of life is not these outer experiences that we're able to say, like right now I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I mean there is no place that you can look where you don't see high-end vehicles, where you don't see people that are showing off all of the things they have accumulated. I'm living I just spent the last 4 days in what, I mean, you could just stand outside this place and look at it and realize, wow, this is how some of the people live. I mean, this is a mansion. It's worth millions of dollars. And yet, I find my delight in life because I realize God is life. And if I can delight in God, then I know that the things that come into my world, they'll be pleasurable. But I look past them because I realize that God is keeping the covenant. And I realize that even though these cars and things down here that show off their value as far as Kelly's Blue Book and whatnot, and real estate would value this place I'm in at maybe $3-4 million of worth of house and whatnot. I realized that to God, these things are the value of a thought. God has promised this to everyone who would delight in him. These things would be added to us. And God has said the messenger of the covenant is always with you. He doesn't have to come from someplace to someplace to tell you what I said. The messenger is always with you. And if you delight in life, that messenger will always give you my heart's explanation of how much I love you. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. This is not a maybe. This is not something that says this may happen or may not happen. But what must occur for us to enjoy this? Well, if you remember a little earlier, I said remove the beam and the mote. You see, we carry within us judgments. That's what that beam is. We look out and we judge people by their nationality. We judge them by their economic value. We by their social value. We judge them by their powerful value. We judge the people by how they look, where they live, what they have, what they don't have. And we are so quick to give our opinion on how we feel about somebody. And that is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be, let these people be, because I'm listening. If they say or do something that is not commensurate with what I want to do, I should just let it pass. I should let it go. I should put it in its proper perspective and live the life that I have. That's how I'm removing the beam. But if I look at someone and put a judgment and say this needs to happen to them and that needs to happen, I have moved away from what God told me. He said, let the guilty man be guilty still. Let the murderer, let him be murderer still. And you said, we're just supposed to let this happen? Well, we let those things happen, but we also believe that there is a judge that has a covenant, and that covenant will protect all who live within the covenant. Why? Because we dwell in that covenant. We believe in it. In the book of Mark, chapter 1, verse 3, it says, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. Where does this voice come from? Well, for me, I can't say where it came from for you, but for me, it came from looking out on the things, the areas of life that I wanted to enjoy or I just perceived out there, and I began to have questions. Why not me? Why can't I do this? Why is it so hard for me why was the door shut, the door's locked before I even, why? You see, once we begin to ask that type of question, guess what? He who is life begins to dispatch the answer to us. That voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight. That's the messenger that God is sending to our conscience to say, turn ye, turn and live. I take no pleasure in your dying. Now, in some cases, in other cases, this dying, I'm not talking about physical dying, because we're dead when we look out and see things that we know he has promised or we know we can enjoy without ego. We just have to enjoy these things. We look out at those things and we are limited. That voice of one crying in the wilderness is saying, behold, I place you in a garden. And I call this garden the garden of plenty. And I tell you, you can partake of any and every tree in that garden that I've designated. That voice is telling us, prepare ye the way, make his path straight. What? Make the path straight for the messenger to come to you and execute the covenant. That's all we want. It's execution of the covenant. There is nothing that can be withheld from us because the covenant is unbreakable. God is the covenant, and God says, when you delight in me, he who comes quickly, even the messenger of the covenant, who you delight in. Oh my goodness. You mean I should be delighting in the messenger? Yes. Not so much the things that happen after I accept the message, but I delight in the messenger. For it is through the message that comes to me, that delight is God's delight, because God has set up a covenant that he would delight in me. I hope you can see what I'm saying when I say Jesus Christ he offered us something that is so huge, so over the top, that I do understand why some people are not willing to give up what they think they have as life, or to, as the word is today, grind it out. God never intended for us to grind it out. He says, if you delight in me. Now, think about that. Even the messenger of the covenant, who you delight in. Well, that scripture right there coincides with the scripture that says, honor the Lord with all your heart, and you will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. That's the messenger. That is the voice that we're listening for. This is the way. What? The way of the way of delight, the way of life. So that voice is crying in the wilderness. Our wilderness is just this mass of confusion, this mass of limitation that appears to be there. But if we delight in the Lord, it says our wilderness will clear out and our path will be made straight. Once again, we're not talking about physical paths and physical wilderness. We're talking about issues that come up in our conscience. And if we turn to listen for the messenger, the beam and the mote are being automatically removed. We are now being able to see clearly. Luke 6:41 says, and beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but perceivest not the beam that is in thine own eye. Wait a minute, what? We see the mote. Remember I told you a little earlier, the mote is a tiny speck that is hardly noticeable. So that problem that you have with whomever, think about it. God is saying that is but a speck. That is but a mote. You are looking at something that has no limiting value as opposed to the limit that is going on within you. Beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but you do not perceive the beam? Even if you put your beam on low, it's still a beam, and it's still greater than the mote carried by your brother. And you know, some of us, myself included, sometimes we have that beam on high beam. And for any of you who drive cars and you meet that car at night and they've neglected to turn their high beam off, sometimes it's blinding. Think about it. Think about what I just said. Blinding. That beam is of such a judgment that I can't see. I can't see. So then my dilemma is what? My dilemma is to be able to see or to hear the messenger, to be able to see the messenger, to be able to perceive the truth. Because once I realize that I am to withhold judgment on all things, that doesn't mean that if the door needs closing, don't close it. Doesn't mean that if it's raining, just stand in the rain. No, it means when people are doing things that are not good for me, I am to immediately turn my attention from that and focus what? Focus on the messenger. Because God has said he will surely come. He will surely come. Why? Because God is holding himself to a covenant which he cannot break. Don't let anyone let you know that God can break his covenant with you. He can't. We can live as though the covenant doesn't exist, but the moment we turn and observe the covenant, the beam goes from high to low. And if we continue to perceive this covenant, it goes from low to out. Once the beam goes to out, there is no way for me to see the speck that's in my brother. You see, Jesus asked this question, and it was a question indicating that true freedom comes from self-analysis. To answer correctly is to receive that which is sought as the greatest prize, freedom. Show me a man that doesn't want freedom, and I'll show you stupidity. Every man wants to be free. He wants to be free to live his life, and he doesn't want somebody to tell him what to do. So therefore, if I take God seriously, I'm going to answer that question. Because he asked me. You can actually see the speck in that person's eye over there, but you do not see that you're the one that's actually causing the problem. You actually believe that how you feel about somebody is going to make a difference. You actually believe that you can change people by flashing your high beam on them and letting them know just how disgruntled and dissatisfied you are with their behavior. Do you actually believe? No. What are you doing? You're blinding yourself to the ability to see clearly, and you're also blinding them to be able to see the glorious light of the covenant that is fulfilling you and themselves. And you say to yourself, but if I just give up, then there is just no way for me to be able to make it. No, you're still looking. You're still looking from the wrong direction. I place myself before the clear vision of God, and I realize that God is all that there is, and that covenant is worth more than I can even dream about. And therefore, I place myself in the purifying fires that I should be able to see God at all times when there appears to be another picture in front of me. Self-analysis. By now you should be being able to perceive why so many people will not even look at the gospel, because they look at themselves first and what they want, not realizing that they already have within them the power of all that heaven represents. And where is this power? It's already within me. I already have. I just need to open out a way and allow it to express itself. Freedom. How far is freedom? How far away? We're swimming in it. Swimming in a sea of freedom. And if we would just let things be and then focus. Don't just let things be and go, well, no. Let things be and then focus. Focus on what? The voice crying in the wilderness. What is the voice saying? As it invites us, it's also saying that if you focus on me, I will clear the wilderness. If you focus on me, I will prepare the way of the Lord. I will make his path straight. If you focus on me, what? If you focus on the messenger and the message, he whose right it is to come. He comes. He comes to us. It's not like we have to go to him. He comes to us. And he has a way that is unmatchable. He has a way that is immeasurable. He has a way that brings about this freedom and brings about these things that he promised without us having to focus on who, what, when, where, or how. They happen because he has already given them to us. So in conclusion, we look at Luke 6:42 says, either, how canst thou say to thy brother, brother, let me pull out the mote that is in thine eye, when thou thyself beholdest not the beam that is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, cast out first the beam out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to pull out the mote that is in thy brother's eye. See how simple the answer is? Either, how canst thou say to thy brother, brother, let me pull out the mote that is in thine eye. If you've had any spiritual, what I call spiritual interactions with people, aren't they always trying to tell you, you need to start going to church? You need to quit drinking. You need to quit smoking. You need gambling. You need to quit lying. They're always telling you. You know what's really, really disheartening is these same people that come and tell you how to clean up their lives, usually in the not too distant time after they come to correct your life, you find out that their lives are basically hell on wheels. They got so much going wrong in their lives, and that you cannot get any type of confidence to trust what they say. Let me pull out the mote that is in thine eye. First, rid yourself of the beam. What is the beam? The beam is my judgment that I place on other people. God did not put me on the planet to judge people. That's why in the book, I think it's Matthew 7, I think it says, judge not, lest ye be judged, for the manner in which you judge, will it be measured back to you. You ever notice that feeling that comes to you when you get angry? That feeling that you feel on the inside when you get mad at someone. You know what that's called? It's called intensity. That's the intensity of the judgment that you are placing on people. The Master is telling us that that intensity is going to be measured back on any and everything you do wrong. What? Right. Judge not, lest ye be judged. For in the manner that you judge, the manner, that's that word, in the manner, in the intensity that you place a judgment on people, shall it be measured back to you. Jesus said, what you do unto the least of these, my brethren, what you do unto me. Oh, my goodness. Self-analysis. There's nothing wrong with getting away from people who do things that are not good, but you don't have to judge them. You don't have to put an intensity on them. And if you can't keep yourself from putting an intensity on it, make it as low as possible. Try to get to the mote, the tiny speck. Try to get there. Because if you notice, Jesus said, if you cannot see the beam that is in your own eye, guess what he says right after that? Thou hypocrite. Oh, my goodness. Think about the fact that the moment you start putting a judgment on somebody, the Master is calling you a hypocrite. And then he says, and this is one I really love. He says, thou hypocrite, cast out first. Now, when I was coming through grade school and junior high and high school, we were always taught that when a sentence starts out with a verb, you ought to put a subject in front of it. So it'll either be you or I. So he says, thou hypocrite, you cast out first the beam that is in your own eye. You know the reason why I love that statement? Because of that prayer. That prayer that you hear people praying all the time. Jesus, God, if you see anything within me that does not meet your criteria or whatnot, please remove it. And you and I both know that some of those people we've been around 10, 15, 20 years, and they're still doing the very same thing that they're asking God to take out of their lives. And we're wondering, well, even if we look at ourselves, why am I still doing some of those things? Lord, if you see anything in me that's not real, take it out. Well, your question should be, what's wrong with God? Why won't he take it out? You see, when that dentist pulls your tooth, he took it out. You stick your tongue over there all you want to, you're going to feel a hole for a while, or you're going to feel a smooth space. Okay? When the construction company or the landscapers come and they pull weeds and whatnot, when they take them out, they pull them out. When they remove bricks, they pull them out. When a house is torn down, it's taken away. It's still not there. Jesus said, you cast it out. And what is the only way I can cast it out? The surefire, proven guarantee? Listen for the voice that's sent to tell me I am with you. That's how you cast the beam out. Cast it out of your own eye. So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to practice looking at people and realizing that they're just as genuine, they're just as filled with the gold treasure of God's covenant. It doesn't matter what their actions are, because I can easily remove myself from that conscious presence. But the greatest thing is if I'm there to practice seeing them in the manner that Jesus saw them. Go your way, Jesus said. Sin no more, lest a worse thing happen. What is he saying? I'm not holding a judgment against you. But if you continue in that manner, you're going to continue to live in what you think is a wilderness where you cannot escape. Listen for that voice. Thou hypocrite, cast out first the beam of thine own eye. Then you shall see clearly to pull out the mote. Wait a minute. Remember, the mote is just a speck. It is something so small that it is almost not even seeable. So what are you actually coming to a conclusion of? Ain't nothing wrong with you. The problem was with me. Once I removed the beam from myself, I can hardly see anything wrong with you. But keep in mind, removing the beam and erasing the mote, what fills that space in between? The messenger. The messenger has come, and the messenger has made the covenant clear. And the messenger is just screaming, because you delight in me, you don't ever have to worry about me coming to you. And I will always bring a message that you can delight in. Why? Because the message, the messenger, and the one who created them are all one and the same. Oh, and lest I forget that I too. Jesus said, for when you see me, you see him that sent me. Can it actually be this simple? Can it actually be that simple? Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. How do I go? I turn within, and I ask for the messenger. I ask for my delight, for the delight of my soul to make itself clear. We are lovingly invited to accept the challenge, and above all, with a guaranteed reassurance that the beam and the mote will be extracted from our conscience, leaving us with true freedom. God bless you.